If she sees how vulnerable she is, she no longer has Flower to protect her while she is not awake. She probably only continued to travel with us because she would be in much more danger alone than in a group, considering all the powerful mages roaming around the continent right now, and the fact that she is too tired to keep suppressing her aura until tomorrow. So you want me to keep Darren busy while you and Kate try to convince her to take a nap. Yeah, that's why I persuaded Hardrick to say that the two of his tents are unusable so that Kate and I could sleep in the same tent as Iluna. I think we can get her to fall asleep if we promise that Kate will keep an eye on Arca's amulet. If Kate can keep an eye on Arca's amulet to see if she tries to escape again. Well, I guess suppose Kate can do it, but does she not? Is she not bound by magic? She cannot use magic, can she? I guess they can use a little bit of magic, to like barely any. I sigh. I know that Darren isn't always the sharpest tool in the shed, I say, but I think you're underestimating him a little. I would be surprised if he didn't already figure out your plan. I don't care if he did or did not figure out my plan, Rose says. What I want is for him to stay away from Iluna so that she can finally get a good night's sleep. I don't think Darren would try to hurt her while she's unconscious. Keeping him as far away from her as possible is the only way Iluna can feel safe right now. I'm really sorry that I forced you into this, but I'm much rather have you with Darren than Hardrick. And I can't join you because I need to stay with Luna's side, since I'm probably the only one that she somewhat trusts in our group. But you don't feel like going through with this, I understand. I'll try to see if Hardrick... No, that's not what I meant, I say. Look, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make sure that Darren doesn't come near your tent during our shift. If he gives you any hint of having figured out what you're up to, I'm not going to start making up lies about it. If he asks me, I'd tell him the truth. Deal? Rose smiles and she shakes my hand. Deal, she says. Alright then, I say. In that case, I'll be off to begin my night shift. Wish me luck. Good luck, Barry, Rose says, and thank you. She then heads towards her tent. I grab my crossbow and start walking towards the place where Darren was sitting and polishing his weapon. I guess we should talk to Darren. We have been very hostile towards him lately. Took you long enough, he tells me as I sit beside him on the grass. Did Rose tell you to keep me busy while they try to put the Banshee to sleep? So he really did have it all figured out. Yeah, I say. Just finished giving me the briefing. Darren says he slowly stops polishing his sword. Listen, Barry, he says, I realize that I've been a bit of an ass lately, even more so than usual, but what it's worth, I'm sorry. Hearing Darren give an heartfelt apology is feeling about as natural as seeing a fire elementalist bathe in a mountain spring. However, he does appear to be sincere about this. It's okay, I tell him, don't worry about it. No, it's not okay, Darren says. I've been stubbornly hanging onto the idea that Banshees cannot possibly be trustworthy, and I'm almost willing to start a fight with you because of it. Even after clear evidence that have been presented to me of the contrary, I still refuse to believe it, and that almost ended up costing my life. You're talking about the time when you were hanging from a wooden beam in the cavern and Luna offered you a hand. Yes, Darren says. Come to think of it, I say, you don't start acting this way only after meeting Iluna, since you've been acting strange ever since Azarius told us about the artificial mages and the Beacon of Hope. I pause for a little. Now think about it, I continue. I don't remember you speaking a single word to Kate after you found out that she was an artificial mage and not a banshee. Then he looks at me for a few moments as realization dawns upon him. Barry, you're right, Darren says. I really haven't spoken with Kate at all since that day. I don't know what's wrong with me. A lot of things are wrong with you, Darren. Maybe you have been subconsciously resenting her for proving you wrong. Will you feel better if you apologize to her? No. I think I'm gonna go with the second option. I don't think we should someone as pompous or as prideful as Darren. I don't think it's a good idea to tell him to go apologize straight up. Maybe you should. Maybe you have been subconsciously resenting her for proving you wrong. What are you saying? Dan says. That I'm blaming her for not turning out to be a real banshee like I thought she'd be. I mean, I know that my pride can get in the way of my reasoning sometimes, but this mean I wouldn't. It doesn't matter what you did, I tell him. What's important is that what you plan to do about it now. Yeah, Darren says. I guess you're right. He pauses a bit before he continues. Tomorrow I'll try to make things right. He says, I don't think I can bring myself to apologize to the Banshee, but I'll try my best to get along with her tomorrow to show her that I no longer retain any hostility towards her. As for Kate, I'll need some time to think about how I'm going to approach this. But whatever happens, I'm not planning to let things go on like this. Thanks for hearing me out, Barry. I think I'm feeling a little better now. And that was good. A few hours later, the Kate and Hardrick came to take over our shift. I asked Kate in private about how things went with Luna, and she told me the Banshee was a bit reluctant first. They managed to get her to fall asleep eventually. They couldn't convince her to shut off her alarm though, so we'd keep waking up every hour or so in order to check upon Araka. But at least she got enough rest to pull her through the next day. After a good night's sleep, we all got up early in the morning, packed up our tents, and resumed our journey, aiming to reach the ruins by sundown. Since we knew exactly which way we were headed this time around, we could afford to keep going without stopping to look for every single one of Flower's markers, which saved us quite a few hours on our way back. Due to everything that's happened in the last few days, the group was visibly starting to become a lot more closely knitted. Even though I couldn't say that we all got along perfectly, the fact of having survived through such hardship together by trusting and relying on each other seemed to have developed a certain bond between us. Even Araka was starting to act more like a member of the group. No, she is not. As a reward for her cooperation yesterday, her locket was left open, so every now and then she would join our conversation by adding her unique commentary, even though most of it was either somehow tied to the atrocities she committed during the still winter or a dark joke of some kind. Throughout our journey back to the ruins, Darren had tried on multiple occasions to initiate casual conversation with Luna, but his awkward attempts at trying to make up Darren is trying to talk to Luna, but his awkward attempts trying to make up with her only managed to make her even more suspicious of his motives. Despite his boasting, however, he still didn't utter a single word to Kate by the time we reached our destination. The fox were quite surprised when she learned that we'd returned with the chalice. I don't think she was really expecting us to pull it off. However, she kept her word and removed... I'm amazed that went that easily. If it was medieval fantasy, there would have been 10 chapters about the fox fucking us over or like not wanting to go through on with her deal or whatever. Now she kept her word and removed all of our collars upon confirmation that the artifact we bought her was indeed the one she was looking for. Since we didn't really feel like spending any more time than necessary in this place, we waved goodbye to the fox and the leopard, started heading out of the forbidden forest. We prayed that we'd never see either of them for the rest of our lives. Now they put some good distance between ourselves and the edge of the forbidden forest. We decided to set up camp near a small river in an area without any trees. Is the flower still with us? Oh, flower's still with us. Flower, recently woken up from her stasis, was now being filled in on the details of what happened since she'd been put to sleep. I'm amazed that, well, I guess she only came to the ruins to like practice her acrobatics. She isn't like a member of the animal guild or whatever. So there's that, I suppose. Let's see. Since she went to sleep, I'm so glad that Petal's plan worked out in the end, Flower says. After she hears the whole story, I got a little worried when she told me that she needs to put me in stasis for 2 days, but I decided to trust her judgment. Hey, did you just say Petal's plan? Kate asks. Did you say that the both of you worked on this plan? Well, Flower says, feeling a little embarrassed. The truth is that Petal is the one who usually makes all our strategies. I just follow her lead most of the time. At first, I didn't think she would help me help out this time around, since she was always making sure to keep her distance and not get involved with you guys, but then something happened that made her change her mind that night before we reached the fort. She wouldn't tell me what happened exactly, but all of a sudden she'd become so much more active in planning the whole operation. She even took care to minimize the risk to her safety. I don't know what got into her, but I'm really glad that things turned out the way they did. Rose smiles at me. I think we both know what made Luna change her mind before we reached the ogres. It seems that our discussion in private with her during her night shift had a lot more of an impact than we originally thought. Tell Flower to the reason why Luna changed her mind. Keep quiet in order to spare Luna the embarrassment. Yeah, I'm just gonna shut up. Now some careful consideration decide to keep Luna's secret and spare her the embarrassment. So you're saying that you're not the one who convinced Luna to carry out the plan? Darren asked Flower. No, like I said, she was the one who... Flower starts to say, but she gasps loudly. Did you just call Petal by her real name? The girl asks, seemingly in a state of shock. Yeah, I guess, Darren says. Does that mean you're friends now? No, Darren and Luna both shout simultaneously. Oh my god, that's true. Flower says, you really are friends now. I'm gonna laugh my ass off. I was there. You should have seen them bickering like two lovebirds during our whole trip back, Araka says. It's like they're both made for each other. Wait, your locket's open? Flower asks. How come your locket's open? Petal never leaves it open. Ha, Araka says. This is the thing of the past. Due to my outstanding performance during our last mission, I have been promoted to a full-time member of the group. That means that you'll all need to listen to my opinions from now on. For example, I think that before going to sleep, we should all hunt a few animals and put their heads on pikes around our camp in order to ward off invaders. We would just look insane if we did that. Don't push your luck, Luna says. Oh gods, Flower says. So many things have happened when I was asleep. I can barely keep track of them anymore. Hold on, I need to write this all down. How long is this chapter? I was thinking of finishing this chapter and go, editing or something. But fucking hell, I'm stuck here. Finishing our conversation with Flower and setting up all of our tents, we all took a little break. I was thinking of finishing the first book and then focusing on, editing. But this is taking ridiculous. Like, I've got a shit ton of videos piled up at this point. We all took a little break to eat some food since the girl had a magical energy to spare after a long nap. She offered to conjure for each of us a dish of our own choosing. I was particularly hungry, so I just asked for some lemon cakes. Everyone else went all out, however. As for the most extravagant dishes that came to their minds, like manticore ribs seasoned with variety of spices or griffin wings coated with honey. Everyone except Kate, that is, given that she hasn't really had the luxury of ever tasting any food other than the one she hunted herself, she simply asked for a roasted duck legs. She went to eat by herself on a log few dozen feet away from our camp. Why? After eating my fill of lemon cakes, I went over to Kate's side to see how she was doing. I caught her staring blankly at one of the trees in front of her. She didn't even notice me until I placed myself right in front of her. Still thinking about Diane? I asked her. Oh, right, Diane. Kate looked a bit taken aback by my straightforwardness, but in the end she decided to answer me honestly. Yes, she says. She has been on my mind ever since I woke up in these ruins, but I've been trying my best to not let it show given the situation we're in. Here, I tell her. Have some lemon cakes. I've already eaten my fill. Thanks, she says as she accepts my offer. Tell her about how Diane defended us from the two Lacetti to help ease mine. Ask her if she's still going to look for Diane or what happened. I'm thinking I'm going to go for the Diane help our Lacetti thingy. I say after you guys fell unconscious due to Diane's attack, I managed to stay awake for a little while longer because of my high resistance to electricity. When she hears my word, Kate raises her head, starts watching me intently. I saw the Lacetti she was working with. I continue. They both wanted to have us killed, but your friend stood up to him. She said she'd kill them if they laid a finger on either of us. She's the reason we are still alive right now. I guess she didn't have the best opportunity. I still think she should have just knocked out Kate, not all of the entire group. And also the reason that we've almost been killed by a fox goddess, by a fort full of ogres in the past few days, she says. I bet you're telling me this, and I'm grateful for your concern, but I always suspected that what she said and did was her way of trying to look out for me, but that, however, still does not excuse her behavior and the way she put us all in even greater danger through her actions. She's always been like this. She would not think twice before doing what she thought was right, but that would often only result in her making things even worse than they were. I swear I'm going to give her one hell of a beating when I see her again. Does that mean that you're still going to participate in the tournament? Yes, I am. She pauses. I no longer have any leads on Diane's whereabouts, Kate says, and if the organizers eventually announce an objective, I'll at least try and complete their task to avoid getting disqualified for lack of participation. Until then, I was thinking of sticking around with you guys. That is to say, if she pauses again, if you'll have me, she continues. Of course we'll have you, Kate, I say. I know that Darren has been acting a little strange lately, but trust me when I say that. I pause mid-sentence because I see that Darren is now heading towards her with a very uncomfortable look on his face. Speaking of the devil, I tell Kate in a low voice. This is going to be a very interesting encounter. Listen, Darren says, looking at Kate when he gets closer. There's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while, but I couldn't really find the right moment. Oh gods, you're not going to propose to me, are you? Kate says. Oh, that's a good one. Damn it. No, Darren says. Then he immediately tries to regain his composure. That's not what I meant. It's just that lately I haven't really talked to you. Actually, I haven't even spoken a word to you for days. Really? Kate says, looking genuinely shocked. I never noticed. Darren looks like he's about to lose his cool again, but this time he managed to rein in his controls. I stopped talking to you after Azarius told us that you were an artificial mage, he says. I was just so convinced that you were a banshee from the very beginning, and after I heard what he said, He pauses. I was wrong, he says, after a while deciding not to continue his previous sentence. Even if on the surface I was acting like your friend, in reality I never really let my guard down around you, and I was expecting you to betray us and turn into a monster at any moment. And to make matters worse, after learning the truth, instead of trying to make amends, I spent my time skulking like a 4-year-old who dropped his candy bar in a sewer. I realized that this is way beyond late now, that I couldn't just let things go on like this forever. The reason why I came here to you tonight is that I wanted to apologize. It looked like it took every ounce of his strength to utter that last word. I don't think I've seen him this tense ever, even when we were battling the Hydra in the Lacetti ruins. I'm sorry, what was that? Kate says. You'll have to repeat that last word you said because I could barely hear it. Damn it, woman, Darren says. You know very well what I said. Don't make me repeat it. Now, do you accept my apology or not? Immediately after Darren finishes this sentence, Kate starts to laugh, but her laughter is sounding much more natural than before. When he first heard her, Darren looks as if he were as if he were about to blow his fuse again, but then realized there was no hint of malice in Kate's laughter. He eventually calmed down. I'm sorry, Kate, Kate says as she struggles to contain her laughter. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mock you. It's just that I didn't think that this would be the kind of thing that could trouble you so much. Of course, I accept your apology. I was being honest when I said that I never even noticed you ignoring me all this time. The two of us have never really talked all that much, so none of this seems strange to me. But I really appreciate your coming out to me like this. Thank you. That made me feel a lot better. Yes, she smiles. I'm not sure what this is all about. We hear Hardrick's voice coming from behind, but I'm willing to bet that this would be the best moment to finally hold that victory celebration. He then places 5 bottles of dwarven ale on the ground, grins at us. Fucking hell, how much ale? I wonder what ale tastes like. I mean, I've tried beer, I've tried whiskey, I've tried wine, the worst thing I've ever tried. I would like to try ale someday. I mean, maybe I don't even know what ale is. Like, I think it's just like barley or something and like alcohol or something. I don't know. Whatever.